Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Mac Mini versus Mac Mini. Interesting. 16 by 512 is the configuration of my main Mac Mini. It's my first one I got. And then, of course, yesterday I ended up getting a base model, brand new in the box. Awesome. 8 by 256. And I thought we would do some comparisons with Cinebench as well as disk speed, because we do know that Apple has started to, of course, slow the drives down in 8256 models. So we want to see what's going on with that. Now, being that I no longer use my internal 512 on my Mini, my main Mini, I had to go back to one of my videos where I did speed testing on the drive before on that particular drive. So we do have those written down, but we're going to do a live test here on the 8256. But Cinebench scores, I know you guys can't see this on screen, so I actually wrote everything down. Now this Mini here that's up and running is the new 8256, and we had a multi-core of 7812, single core of 1529, and then the MPR, or MP ratio, is 5.11, okay? And if we flip over to our other Mini, now this one here is my main one. This one scored 7815, 1517 for single core, and an MPR of 5.15. So little bit of difference, but it does show that when it comes to the drive and your RAM, this really isn't making any real difference. I mean, 1529 on our 8256 for single core to this one at 1517, not a great difference. And then we got 7812 for multi on the 8256, 7815. So how much RAM you have actually doesn't matter, nor does the actual drive, how fast it is or any of that. That's what I'm taking out of this. Now you can run Cinebench over and over and over again, and you will get slightly variations of your scores. Sometimes it could be a little bit better, other times. These tests were done with a fresh boot of the operating system right to the desktop, and then all I did was launch Cinebench. That was it. So I didn't fire up Activity Monitor. I didn't fire up any other programs. This is just first thing in the morning. I've been up since 4:30, and it's now 6 a.m. I'm gonna need a nap today. But that's what we got. Now drive speed for the 16 by 512, that is 2903.6 for the read, and 2268 for 2268.6 for the write speed. So let's go back to our our new Mini here, and we'll just do a live test real quick. And this one is number 3. So we're going to get out of Cinebench. We don't need that. And let's start. Now this defaults automatically at the main drive. So if you only have one drive, whether you have one drive or 5 drives connected, it always defaults to the main drive. So you don't need to select it because it won't let you. It just defaults. So anyways, here we go. I'm going to run this a couple of times just to get a bit of an average here. Okay, so we've got a read speed of 2963.5 and a write speed of 2278.3. So This drive is just a little teeny bit faster on the read than the 512, and the write speed 2278 versus 2268. That's within 10 points. And again, this can change, you know, by letting it run a few more cycles. I've actually seen my 512 get as high as 3,000, okay, on the read, and just shy of that on the write cycle. So it can vary a bit, you know, and keep in mind, these are synthetic benchmarks that we're doing here. They're not real world testing. That is generally a different story. It could be faster or it could be slightly slower in the real world testing. We know this whole deal with video editing, you know, you simulate, you know, all these other different score tests like Geekbench to Cinebench to what have you, you know, these things are all little variables. But when it comes to how much drive space you have on the mini M1s, okay, because that's what we're talking about. So whether it comes to drive space or the amount of RAM, there's no real big difference here that's like night and day, okay? They're both running virtually identical in Cinebench, and our disk speed tests are also virtually identical as well. It does suck, though, that Apple started after these machines to start slowing down the 256 models. That was actually kind of nasty of them. But maybe they'll straighten up their act again. Who knows? But anyhow, that's what we've got as far as this testing goes. I don't think there's any real reason to you know, start doing Geekbench scores and stuff, because we're going to see exactly the same results, and that's that they're going to be virtually identical to each other. This also further enforces what I've said to many people in the past, that we cannot actually clone something exactly and precisely the same. It's impossible, and this kind of really does show that too. Okay, everything is marginally, like, just minuscule amounts from each other, and that's the way it is, okay? Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I found that quite interesting. I actually expected to have a lower score on the 8256 model only because of lack of RAM, but Cinebench doesn't really use much RAM, you know, so it's kind of like, well, you know, and if we go and we look at our activity monitor, which is another thing, on a fresh boot, things do change. I am also running, by the way, the exact same version of Sonoma on each machine. And I found some interesting little differences, we'll say. Right now, after running Cinebench and doing this disk speed program, now yesterday I saw pretty much about the same usage in RAM, about 5.5 gig, because that's generally what it sucks back from me on my 16 by 256. But here it's only using 3.3 gigs of RAM right now in the memory test out of 8 gigs. And so that kind of leaves me almost 5 gigs to play with for RAM. Now, as we run programs, of course, and we quit them, I mean, some of that RAM we just don't get back, obviously. But I found that kind of really interesting, because if we flip over here, let's go to my main system, which is my 16. Let's get out of Cinebench here. And we'll go to the activity monitor. And here we can see that with 16 gigs of RAM in the system, we're actually using 5.69 gigs of RAM. So with the only difference here being that one's got 8 and one's got 16, and they're both running the exact same version of the operating system. So it's kind of like, well, it's kind of interesting. Because like I said yesterday, the other one was actually using more. So it's beyond me. It's kind of weird that it does this sort of thing. Now, in case anybody is wondering, I'm running an external Thunderbolt drive. I've given you guys the specs before. It's a Kingston KC3000 in an external case, and it's rated for 7,000 by 6,000, but we never see that external Thunderbolt, at least not yet. But just to give an average against even going against the stock 512 to even the 8256, let's see what we've got. So the first shot is 2555, 2792. We'll let this run a couple more times. Now this is my OS drive now too, by the way. I no longer use the 512. So we're getting a read speed of 2805.3, and then we're getting a write speed of 2766. So I'm actually getting faster write speeds on my external Thunderbolt, and just a hair, like within 100 megabits per second, not even, you know, with my read. So I'm virtually running identical almost to my internal using my Thunderbolt. And these things have Thunderbolt 3 rated at up to 40 gigabit, where of course M2s now have the Thunderbolt 4. I was kind of expecting Thunderbolt 5 and M3s, but we didn't get it. Apple's really got to step up their game, because yeah, we do have Express 5 drives out now in the PC world. So that's pretty good. So if you are looking at going external Thunderbolt drive, now I use an Indamin case. There's lots of cases out there. Some run faster, some run slower. It just all depends. These Indamins actually are, I find, better than a Casis, because they'll handle up to a 4 terabyte without any issues whatsoever, where I have seen that the Casis is, I think they only go to like 2 terabyte. I don't know anybody who's done 4 terabyte, but could be wrong there. Don't shoot the messenger. But they're also way cheaper. They're like $80 cheaper than a Casis. And I've had absolutely no issues with these Indamin cases, and I have 2 of them, okay, because one of them is my dump drive. But to get almost the identical speeds on the Thunderbolt to the internal, that's actually pretty good in this case, because this allows us to say, okay, well, we want more drive space and not pay Apple's money, run an external, you know. I do recommend it for desktops, laptops. Probably you should pay Apple's blood money for bigger storage, because you don't want to haul around a drive that's going to be your OS drive. But that's a whole other video to talk about all that stuff and why things do go that way. But that's what we got for you guys today. So hope you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. I'm going to have more on this. The new Mini is going to be my main music studio now. It has enough RAM to do that, and for that one job in life. And then this way I can completely dedicate my other main system for doing video editing, and till that becomes useless at some point. Yeah, that's what we've got, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Ciao.